Now, it is my distinct honor and a pleasure to introduce the Convocation speaker for this year, Mr. Arif Naqvi, one of the world's most distinguished private equity professionals, who is the founder and group chief executive of Abraj Group since 2002. Abraj is widely recognized as a pioneer of global growth markets, investing with over 20 country offices, including 5 regional hubs in Dubai, Istanbul, Mexico City, Nairobi, and Singapore. Managing over $9 billion, Mr. Naqvi's firm is the world's largest growth market investor other than the BRIC countries. Mr. Naqvi has been the recipient of numerous awards, including the Sitara Imtiaz and the Oslo Business for Peace Award, the highest form of recognition given to individual private sector leaders for fostering peace and stability through business. In 2011, Private Equity International named him as one of the 50 most influential people in the global private equity industry. In 2008, to give back, Mr. Naqvi and his family established the Aman Foundation, the largest private social sector enterprise in Pakistan, which supports sustainable development in healthcare, nutrition, and education. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Arif Naqvi.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for having me here. Let me actually start by turning things a little bit on their head and congratulating the parents and the mentors that supported and grounded and groomed the class of 2017. And congratulations on your dedication, parents. Congratulations on your patience and your hard work. And congratulations on what your children have achieved. And all of you deserve another round of applause for who you are. To the graduates, at the end of the day and at this stage of your life, remember that you don't have to be famous. You didn't have to start off being rich. And you have to make your university proud of your achievements and your starting position. You've already done that by graduating today. Everything else is icing on the cake. So I could stop here and wish you all well. And life really, sadly, is not that simple. You're going to have to endure me for a little while longer. And it would make, if I stop for the shortest convocation speech at LUMS. But as it is, I need you to know that I start off by being a little bit intimidated, because this is the first convocation ceremony I've ever attended in my life. I didn't attend my own. Having said that, I am going from here to my alma mater, the London School of Economics, where I'm receiving an honorary degree as well this week, so I'm feeling rather pleased with myself. Before I get started, it's important to note that you graduate today from one of the most impressive universities in the world. It's easy to be myopic and say that you're a graduate of the Lahore University of Management Sciences, which is the finest school in Pakistan, and stop it at that. I'm here to tell you that this is actually one of the finest universities in the world. And it is a source of enormous pride for me as I go around the world, as a traveler, as a business person, and I come across people who are graduates of LUMS all over the world, and it is so gratifying to see them holding positions of authority, of responsibility, and positions that actually help them and their families in the furtherance of their careers. As a result, as you graduate today, you carry with you from this day forward a very important responsibility. By virtue of your degree, you are now a global Pakistani, not just a graduate of LUMS. Many of you probably and possibly already travel regularly outside Pakistan, but your degree now confers upon you an expectation that you will do so more. And as a result of your degree and the nature of the globalized world that you are now about to enter, you are also going to become a global citizen. But always and never forget that you are an ambassador of our proud country. And whilst I'm on the spirit of congratulating all of you for what you have done, let me not just let the Vice Chancellor get away with congratulating Pakistan on the cricket victory. I add that as well. I was actually there, so I'm feeling doubly pleased. So my work and my life has meant that I am also a global traveler with a global worldview. But I always proudly say I am first and foremost a Pakistani, and that is actually what defines me. And you are all going to carry a similar identity as you head into your professional careers or your further studies. Represent both sides of that equation with pride and with honor. Now, I'm going to come to the part of the speech where I'm supposed to offer you some counsel. But you know, there are some things that just make common sense. And once you set your mind on this exciting journey that you're about to start, the advice that I'm going to give you as you engage with the world, it's worth for a second stopping and surveying what the world looks like today and place your graduation in the context of that world. As I look out and I think about what is ahead for you, I envy your youth, I envy your passion, but most important of all, I envy your timing. You really could not have gotten your degrees and your timing better. It is such an incredibly exciting time for the world. If you take just a moment and pause and think and step back, we are at a renaissance moment. If you read the headlines here, at home, or around the world, it doesn't sometimes feel that way. But if you look at where we started and where we stand in human history, it's never actually been better. For most of human history, a third of any given population was lost to either disease, famine, or war. 100 years ago, diarrhea was as likely to kill you, and in 1900, the average lifespan was just 30. That's just 100 years ago. Today, given that most of you were born at the dawn of this century, the fact is that most of you are expected to live at or about 100. Advances in science, medicine, mean that even the life of a centenarian will feel short in the years ahead. Many of you are going to contribute as you go forward to these advancements and further advancements. In fact, the people that come from our part of the world, the part that others like to refer to as emerging markets, this is our golden hour. What a lot of people do not understand is that we are not emerging. We have emerged. In fact, in the next 20 years, you will deliver an incredible statistic which I'm sure a lot of you don't know, which is that 70% of the world's growth is going to come from the world immediately around you, which some still patronizingly refer to as emerging markets, and in which Pakistan is very much at the center and core of opportunity. So I hope you see the contextual nature in which I'm placing you. Mr. Trump came to power under the slogan, "Make America Great Again." And my view is that we don't need to talk about making Pakistan great again. We just need to let people know how great we are. So the age that you are entering into is an age worth exploring. And when I look out at all of you and I think about where we stand in human history, on the cusp of yet more major achievement, I'm reminded of how bamboo grows. Even if you water it regularly, giant timber bamboo doesn't appear or make any gains for the first 3 or 4 years of its life. But then suddenly, it will sprout 90 feet into the air. in just a few months. And today, as you come of age and the world comes of age, you will both be sprouting by leaps and bounds at the same time and growing alongside it. So the ideas that I would like to leave with you and the pointers that I feel are important as you look forward on where you're going, first of all, always remain flexible. When I talk to investors, entrepreneurs, and business people around the world, or indeed to my colleagues, I'm known to remind them with regularity that today's peacock is tomorrow's feather duster. This has never been truer in today's world, given the rapid advancements that we are making. And what that means is that you won't or can't follow a simple straight path. You are destined to zigzag. You are destined to adapt to changes that you didn't anticipate when you first set out. So those that go in a straight line often miss a lot of the life and end up contributing a lot less to the world. To me, life is about the zigzag and not just the simple straight path. The startups and the start-stops that you will inevitably come up with in life and in these terms is going to define you. Embrace it, especially at this age. At some point, age and responsibilities are going to catch up with all of you and will force you to go down that straight route. But at this moment in your life, take the risk. In fact, for as long as you can, take the risk. Be adaptable, be malleable, because you will shape the world with the hammer, which is your degree. And don't just wait for the world to shape you. Second, and equally importantly, stay hungry. Stay hungry and work hard. This has been a maxim that I've followed all my life, and every single person that I know who has achieved something in life follows this maxim as well. This is not an adaptable truth, this is a reality. We can romanticize the notion of dreams, but dreams stay dreams unless you put work into them. Part and parcel of staying hungry is to always be learning, always keeping your ears open, and frankly, that's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use the ears more, listen and learn, be a sponge. In business and in life, listening is one of the most important skills that you need and that you will continue to acquire. Today, technology is giving us Alexa, it's giving us Siri, and it's giving us a whole host of artificial intelligence enhanced technologies that you are probably more comfortable with than I am. But then that is your competition. That is who you're going to be competing with. But you are different from a machine. You have a different reason for listening. What you have is humility. A machine cannot acquire humility. To learn from listening, it is important to check your ego, because listening is really all about what am I not seeing, what do I not know. And remember, your blind spots are bigger than your clear spots. Be humble, listen, and then be ready to forge ahead. The next point I want to bring forward in front of you is to act fast and be nimble. If you are eager to get ahead, do things that no one else wants to do in this life, and do them better than anybody else would. What that means is that you will almost inevitably fail at times. But believe me when I tell you that if you fail at something that you love doing, and you're motivated to go out and keep doing that, it will never feel like failure. As an investor, I'm often told by the Silicon Valley types, let's celebrate failure. And to be honest, I'm always puzzled by this a little bit. Remember what I told you earlier about being a global Pakistani. That's where I get stuck. It's the Pakistani side of me. And I know that I don't celebrate failure, I understand it. It's not something that I feel comfortable telling Pakistani parents. Kya beta, kya kar rahe ho? Abbu, failure celebrate kar raha hu. Saal, 2 saal ke baad kuch aur karunga. I don't think that goes down that well in our environment. We just have to keep doing what we do and learn from it and understand it. And maybe it's the millennial mindset that all of you are so comfortable with and all the people up here find difficult sometimes to understand. But I can tell you that what you will find most important is learn what you know, but importantly, learn what you do not know and focus on that just as much. And this is why I keep saying that the meaning of humility is that you have to treat success and disaster with equal equanimity. It's about the process of moving towards triumph. It is about learning from each failure in terms of how you move forward, always staying ahead as you grow. It reminds me of the story of the lion and the two people in a campsite who are sitting there and they watch this lion coming towards them and they figure out that the lion is going to eat them. So one of them starts putting on his running shoes and the other one turns to him and says, I don't know why you're doing that, because that's a hungry lion and we're never going to be able to get away. Why are you trying to get away from the lion? And the first person who's putting on his shoes says, actually, I'm not putting on my shoes to run away from the lion. I'm only putting on these shoes so I can run faster than you. And that's an important point. Empathy, ladies and gentlemen, is your strongest asset. One thing that everybody seems to care about today and seems to be so sure about today is the advent of artificial intelligence, as I was referring to earlier, and the automation of our jobs. It's a reality that we can't really avoid. It's here. We're not too far away from cyborgs doing a lot of the things that we actually are trained to do and are comfortable doing ourselves. But the reality is that in doomsday terms, this is inevitable, this is upon us and cannot be avoided. However, it's one thing to be thinking about automatic car production, which the experts tell us is inevitable, and it's another thing to imagine someone automating the jobs that all of us in the service industry are used to. But let's not forget that what a robot will have is something called AIQ, which is the artificial intelligence quotient, and what you have is EQ, which can never be replaced. And at the end of the day, it will come down to, and the difference is going to come down to empathy and to humility. And that is the difference between you as you move forward and the world of technology that will surround you. So in summary, we talked about being flexible, we talked about thinking anew, we talked about acting anew. We talked about being hungry, and we talked about being industrious. I asked you to consider the fact that you need to ask a lot of questions and then listen to the answers even if you don't like what you hear. Fourth, I suggested that we act fast and that you be nimble and that you embrace humility. And fifth, whatever you choose to do, love doing it. Love it truly, because life is too short for any other alternative. Empathy is integral to all of these things. And in all of these things, it is important to understand that you will be forging your own future. Circumstances will help you get there, but you will be forging them. And in the course of doing that, you are going to come across adversity. Embrace it. Do not be scared of adversity. Be prepared for it. A famous poet from our country, Sayyid Sadiq Hussain, said, "Tundiye baade mukhalif se na ghabra e waqab, ye to chalti hai tujhe uncha udane ke liye." And translated, I don't need to translate it, I know all of you know what it means, but loosely translated it says that don't be scared of the hurricane or the violent winds. They only exist to make you fly faster and higher. So the one thing that I would like to add before I finish this moralistic side of what I'm talking about is something that my father always used to tell me. He passed away 9 years ago, but he always used to say to me, as he watched me grow, he'd always say, success and wealth is something you should stand on, never put it on top of your head, because when you stand on it, it will make you taller. If you put it on your head, it will make you smaller. And if you follow that understanding, and if you follow that reality, what you will realize is that wealth, success, being famous, these are transient things. What people will remember is who you are, how you dealt with them, the empathy you had, the humility you show, and the route that you followed in helping people understand where you come from. And where you come from, ladies and gentlemen, is a fantastic country. Where you come from is a nation which has not yet achieved its potential, that is crying out to achieve its potential, that is misunderstood in the world, alongside our religion, which is also often hijacked by people that should not hijack it, and that use very narrow ideology to hijack it and to mislead the rest of the world into who we are and what we stand for. As you go out and as you celebrate your life, please understand the responsibility on your shoulders is not just for yourself. Again, going back to my father, when he passed away and I was collecting his belongings, I came across a large box, and when I opened it, I saw, going back 15 years, collections of articles, videos, stories, and news clippings about myself and my sisters. And I realized at that point that he was living his life vicariously through us. And that source of pride that he felt is the source of pride that every single person in this room, in the back rows, is feeling right now as I'm speaking. These are the parents that you need to make proud. This is the country that you need to make proud. And finally, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about leadership and what that means in 2017. So, what does it mean to be a leader? You may be surprised when I tell you what I consider to be a good leader. I'm fortunate enough in the course of my life, I'm a traveler. I prefer defining myself as that than anything else, because I'm also a continuous learner. And I meet people from different walks of life, and I'm fortunate to have a job that helps me back great leaders. So I have to look closely at that, and whether that's a large corporate that my organization is going to buy, or it's a new entrepreneur who's hungrily going out into the world, or it's someone who's going to lead a non-profit that we are going to support, an artist, a student, it doesn't matter who it is. Leadership gets stamped very, very early. And I'm always on the hunt for great leaders. So I ask you as you go forward to look for two things in leaders and attempt to be that yourself. The first is they all want to contribute and cultivate resilience in this world. And secondly, they do what they do and they do what they can in the service of others and in a way that is very authentic in defining who they are. You're very fortunate that your rector is a global leader and is defined by that around the world. You're fortunate that you have amongst your faculty leaders, and you are fortunate that you have in your community and in your families leaders that you can emulate and think through and follow up on. And I personally live my life in a very similar manner. I look for leaders, I look for people that can be backed and that actually over time force you to look at them and say, I am here, I am a leader. They don't do it through noise, they do it through force of habit and the way in which they walk this world. So it's very important as you do so that I want to talk to you now about the non-profit side of life, about health, about education, about water platforms, about people in markets that need the quality of life that they're denied, that you are blessed to have. And we talked a little bit earlier in the Vice Chancellor's introduction about Aman Foundation. where I was fortunate alongside my family to create something that is focused on giving back to Pakistan. But you know, if you want to be a leader, you have to find that authentic part of you that ultimately focuses on service to others. And for all the positive things that I described about the world today, there's also no denying that we continue to face challenges around this income inequality, around climate change, and around all kinds of biases, a lot of which we face as Pakistanis daily. Think of how you can connect to whatever it is that you want to do in life. And it's going to be multiple things. Think of you connecting all of those in helping to make the world a better place. Don't try and boil the ocean. Stay smart and do what you can as your bit in helping make the world a better place. Be a mentor. There is nothing more important than leading by example. Give someone, whether it's as simple as a chai or a pani to start with when they need it, but help build resilience in this world by thinking of others, because it's going to bring you success, it's going to bring you happiness, and most important of all, it's going to make you feel good about yourself. Don't procrastinate as you go through life. And let me say something in conclusion which is obvious, but one that you can hang your hat on. Life is too short. If you live to be 100 years old, you are now starting a journey where you have about 30,000 days ahead of you. Maybe a bit more with advances in science and technology, but at the end of the day, death is a motivator. And as Muslims, we all know that we have to accept it with finality. I don't want to sound sad about this, but it exists in order to stop us from procrastinating. It exists in order to force us to make our life more meaningful. An 18th century English poet said that procrastination is the thief of time. So whatever you do, even when it feels that you have a lot of time on your hands, do it fast, do it quickly, and understand and recognize that your place in this world today, your presence in this graduating class, the reality of sitting here and embarking on this journey means that you are already in that privileged 1% of humanity. Use that wisely, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your lives. You have much to look forward to, and I congratulate you, class of 2017.